And then when I was 12, I think I told you I walked over to Ty Cobb's house in Menlo Park, Atherton, to see him, and he wasn't home. And so they gave me a little tour of the house, and then I sent him a Christmas card, and that was 1953 December, and he kind enough wrote my name, my address, in Alameda de las Pogas over here, San Carlos, and sent me his autograph with the date on there. And at the time I thought, gee, that was nice. You know, I didn't see him, but at least he took the time to do that. Well, little did I know Ty Cobb was going to be considered maybe number one of all time, and quite a character.
My picture was taken with as a youth with Joe DiMaggio and Lefty O'Doul and Vince DiMaggio at Seal Stadium, and that was a fun thing, you know. And we used to go to a lot of the Seals games and meet a lot of the players who later became Major League Baseball players too, and met their fathers, met their kids and stuff. We used to have a great time in our youth. You know, take a bus up to San Francisco, 25 cents round trip, go to the games, talk to all the players. It was amazing. It was great. Not like it is today.
The San Francisco Examiner Baseball School was something my dad put on in the summertime. Again, he was a teacher, so during the summer he stayed busy, and he loved to sponsor and put on different clinics and such during the summer up at Golden Gate Park, which was known as Big Rec, the fields up there. And the San Francisco Examiner came out and took a public relations photo, and Lefty O'Doul came out, and the local hero, Joe DiMaggio, also came out, full suits, fedora hat, and they took a couple of photos to promote this Examiner Baseball School in the paper, and interviewed my father and some of the kids, and then DiMaggio and Lefty O'Doul. And they, in their classy way, came out in suits to a ballpark and took a really classy black and white photo to appear the next day in the Examiner newspaper. I was in that photo. I don't remember it well, but I was 2 years old. It was 1965. And as you can see in the photo, I'm not paying any attention to the photographer. I'm looking away. And I'm also in it with my brother, my older brother, who we're adorned in baseball garb, as it should be.
Joe DiMaggio League was started by the guys from Pacifica, that started Little League there. And the opening day was at San Bruno Park. And I just remember I was one of the 3 guys selected to be able to get my picture taken with Mr. DiMaggio. And there's a picture of me shaking his hand. And then right next to me is Mike Buskey, who played in the major leagues very briefly with the White Sox. So there was actually two future professional baseball players with Joe DiMaggio.
You have to understand, when I was a kid growing up, all those guys were in my house all the time. I mean, baseball players were in my house. Those were my father's friends. So they were all around me all the time. All my friends are outside with their noses glued to the glass, wishing they could come in, and all I want to do is be outside with them, because all these guys, Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, Jim Davenport, who still lives here in San Carlos, is a great guy, was one of my father's greatest friends. He's still alive and doing well. Stan Musial just passed away not long ago, one of my father's good friends. So it was, when you're around them all the time, I do remember this. I remember looking at the baseball players of those days. And in those days, baseball players were not in great physical shape. They were lanky and rangy guys. They weren't buff and strong like they are today. But Willie Mays was. Willie Mays looked like a modern day ball player 40 years ago, 50 years ago now, I should say. He was a real physical specimen even in those days, when most ball players were lanky and rangy guys.
Saw him at the Super Bowl at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. My brother got tickets for us. We were staying in that hotel, thanks to my brother, one of the many advantages of having a brother who's famous. And he was walking towards me, and I said, "Hello, Mr. DiMaggio." And he goes, "Hi, Gary." I went, "You gotta be kidding me." He knows who I am. I was just stunned. You know, so that was a kind of a neat feeling. He called my house one time. trying to get a hold of my brother. My brother's agent was there. And I answer the phone, and I hear the voice, and I know it's Joe DiMaggio, because I know his voice. And he goes, "Hello, this is Joe DiMaggio." I go, "Oh my God." I go, "Mr. DiMaggio, you're calling my house?" Anyway, it was really kind of cool, and he's just always very gracious.
Okay, Joe DiMaggio obviously was a major hero to all of us kids, you know, going way back in the 30s, 40s, all the way up to even after he stopped. And what happened was I was in a laundromat up in San Rafael. I was living up there at the time, and I need to have something done really well because the stain was really bad. And they said, "Oh, go to this place on 4th Avenue. Okay, so I went over there, and I looked, and I see Joe DiMaggio and this Asian fella with golf clubs. So I asked the lady who was Asian, I said, "Oh, Joe DiMaggio, he was one of our heroes. And who's the man?" "Oh, that's my husband. They play golf." And she says, "Well, how about, would you like to meet him?" I said, "Would I like to meet him?" "Yeah, of course I would like to meet him, but you sure?" She says, "Yep, we'll give you a call." Okay, so I gave my phone number. 2 weeks later, of course, I get a call from my office, and it says, "You've got some laundromat or something called you?" I says, "Yes." "What about it?" They said, "Call the store." So I call the store. Who answers? Not the lady. Interesting. She should have answered, right? She's the owner. Joe DiMaggio answers. "Hello, David?" I said, "Mr. DiMaggio?" He says, "That's right. How you doing?" He says, "No, this is the Yankee Clipper," he says. I said, "Jeez. Mr. DiMaggio, I'm about 5 minutes from you. I'm in the car. I knew that you had called, and so I'm coming in." So I went into the laundromat, and he was sort of like this on the, you know, handsome as hell, tall, thin, the whole bit. And he says, "How you doing?" and all that. And I said, "Thank you, Mr. DiMaggio. Nice to meet you." And I thought it was going to be about a 2-minute, maybe 3 deal. 20 minutes we were in there talking baseball, Yankees, other Yankees that he played with, because I knew my stuff, you know. And he was enjoying the talk. It wasn't like, when's this going to end, you know? So he said after 20 minutes, he says, "David, I think I'm going to have to leave now because I have to go see my son Joe Jr., lived in Alamo over here." I says, "Okay, thank you for the time." And I didn't know what to do, stand there. So I walked out with him to the car, and I thought he was going to have like a, you know, Esplanade, or not Esplanade, you know, gorgeous car. He had a Toyota Camry. And I thought, the guy, he was tight with his money, they said, you know, which is okay. So was my father. So he got in the car, and I was bawling. Not real bad, but, you know, I was just moved by this whole thing. How could he spend that much time with me?